Yo, YouTube, this DJ the Bondsman back at it again. Just wanted to come rap with y'all about something that's been in the news and all over the media. You probably seen it. In reference to it, police stopped a black couple in Tennessee and took their children. That's the headlines. Police stopped a black couple in Tennessee and just took their kids. And today I just want to break down what happened because I've read the reports or whatnot and read the different news articles. I'm going to tell you what happened, what could have happened, what most likely happened, and how to pretty much avoid this situation in all aspects and not happening to you and your family, because it really can happen. Just from a bail bondsman point of view, I've actually bonded out people in this type of scenario. I will break it down to you. I'll tell you about a case that I had similar to this, and why it really doesn't have anything to do with race or racism, because CPS is after everybody's kids, and they're more after white kids, blonde hair, blue eye, preferably, you know. But no one likes CPS, I don't think. But that's a story for a different day. But yeah, so what happened was I saw it come about in the news flash like a couple days ago. They're talking about this black couple were on their way to a funeral in Chicago from Georgia. And they get pulled over. And the story is they got pulled over and the police found a little bit of weed. And they just took their kids and they can't get them back now. That's the story, and that's what the narrative is, and it's just racist and white supremacy. And I'm going to tell you how this basically goes down. I'm going to tell you what happened, though, just reading multiple, just not one website, but multiple news sources, like TV news, print. I haven't actually seen the ADR. The ADR is basically what the police write out their statement on the reason of why they're writing you a ticket or arresting you, like the narrative basically. What's there is what they write down, what they saw happen or what they perceived happen. And then you can match that up to other people's statements or body cams to, come up with a solution or to find out if the person needs to be charged with something or charged with more things, or the case needs to be dropped, and what you basically hand the judge and the prosecutor. But they were on their way to Chicago. I want to say they had 5 kids, and from the reports, they were driving, and the reason they were pulled over, so people ask, so why were they pulled over? Was it driving while black? Well, it doesn't look like it. The police pulled them over for the number one thing is my pet peeve, and I hate it with a passion. People who drive in the left lane. People who drive in the left lane. I don't care if there's nobody on the road. You shouldn't be driving in the left lane. Because one, you stand out to police what happened with them. And it automatically makes you look like you're speeding even if you're not speeding. When you're driving in the left lane, then you're holding up traffic. You can say, well, the speed limit is 70. I was going 80. It might be somebody doing 85. That's not your room to judge them. They don't need to slow down. You just need to get out the way because it's for passing on. So the police said they pulled them over for driving in the left lane and dark tint. Now the dark tint is like a easy one. They use that excuse all the time to pull it over. So it may have been first they were driving in the left lane. Police saw that and they weren't passing anybody, just out there floating in the left lane. Then the dark tint, and so he put them two together. Oh, that gives me probable cause to pull them over. So when he pulls them over, what people, they said they found less than 5 grams. So if you don't know about weed or anything, it was like, from what I'm saying, what they were saying is like 4.7 grams. That's really not a lot. That's not even a quarter. But 4.7 grams, to put it to you, if you don't know about weed, you can roll about 5 good 1 gram blunts. Well, 4.7. You can almost get you 5. You can get you 4 whole gram blunts, nice size blunts, and like a good half. Back in the day, I know people used to roll up 0.5 all day. So you can get 4 grams, you can get 8 blunts. Cigarillos, little skimp, we call them skimp blunts back in the day. But yeah, so it's like 4 blunts, 4 to 5 blunts. Just say 5 blunts. 5 whole blunts. But the youngsters today, that's a big. They rolling 3-5, so they probably roll. You can roll 2 huge, humongous blunts out of that too. So it's not a lot. So they got pulled over. From what they saw, police said they smelled marijuana in the car. So they got that always will get you searched. That always get you searched. Then on top of that, they different reports it was a gun in the car. And so you got a gun in the car, you got weed, which in perception it could be bad, could not be bad. I'm gonna break it down though. You have 5 kids in the car. They arrested Mr. Williams, Deonte Williams, that's the gentleman. They arrested him for possession of marijuana and took him to the county, I guess, to bond out. They allowed her to follow them to the police station to bond them out. They did a drug test, initial drug test on them, and it came back positive for marijuana for Mr. Williams and I think negative for Bianca Clayborne, that's the mom. So after that, they asked them for another, hair samples. After the hair samples came back, but this is when they already took the kids. After the hair samples came back, this is what's tricky. You always got to read and watch and read multiple articles because it's been several different stories. But they took hair samples first. And I want to say, and when they got the hair samples back, it came back that both of them had Oxycontin and fentanyl in the system. But they had already taken the kids because the marijuana was in the car. And now they're fighting for their kids. But the reason why I think they held the kids because the hair samples came back saying there's Oxycontin and fentanyl in the system. And they said one of the kids were breastfeeding. I mean, the mom was breastfeeding the child at the time. So that's problematic. But the only thing with that, they're saying the hair sample test is can't be trusted all the way. It's not 100% accurate. So it could be some fallacy in there. I want to give that to them. It could be some fallacy. But the hair test did come back saying it was Oxycontin and fentanyl in the system. Let me see if I can find that right quick. That old fent. And that could be from anything. They could have been taking fent. They could have been using fent and Oxycontin, but I guarantee you it's probably a mixture. They're probably popping some popping some pills or something. And it had that in there, packed up in there. But see, here it goes. A urine drug test came back positive for Williams. That's the gentleman. Negative for Clayborne. Followed up by a rapid hair follicle test, were then ordered to come back positive for fentanyl and Oxycontin for both. So like I said, more than likely, could have been doing pills, could not, but it said basically, it could be pills or something. And that's what's getting their kids kept, because you breastfeeding, if you got that in your system, that's problematic. And just reading, you got to read multiple articles, because if you read one article, it'll say one thing, I read the other one. In another article that went more in depth with these people, it says since they've been interviewing the kids, they've been saying the kids called Mr. Williams the weed man, and the kids said they would go with the parents while they sold weed. And also, not only that, they said the kids were showing the CPS people they knew how to roll a blunt. So I guess they were just talking to them, seeing what could get out the kids or whatever. And that's not good, neither here nor there. I don't think that should be admissible in court. But it does show to I ain't gonna say the lack of, but the parenting or what type of parents these people have. But basically, that's what's it to wrap it up in a nutshell. They were driving on the highway, driving in the left lane, tinted out, loped out. Police pull them over, smell weed. It was a gun in the car, weed in the car. And we're going to take the kids and then bond them out. What you're not hearing, I'm going to tell you the back end as a bondsman, how this could have really, really, really even been worse. People all complaining, hey, they took their kids, this. Really what the police could have did, because like here in Arkansas, if you got guns and drugs in the car, That's an automatic simultaneous possession of drugs and firearms. We call it SIMO here. When you hear criminals call it SIMO. You got SIMO. SIMO is a 10 years. It's a class Y felony in Arkansas, and you're facing 10 years minimum in prison. But a lot of times you get parole. So you get a SIMO and you plead guilty or something. A lot of times the judge will give you 10, and you'll do like 2 years in prison and then be on probation for another 8 years. But SIMO is serious, and SIMOs happen, doesn't matter. Like even me as a bondsman, or if you just say, hey, this is good information for you. If you're just a regular citizen, work every day, just say you got concealed carry and you like to smoke. There's a lot of people out here like have concealed carry and like smoking. What people don't realize, if you got weed on you, you can have one blunt, you can have half a blunt. If you get pulled over, that automatically your concealed carry is null and void, because the federal government doesn't recognize weed anywhere as recreational. You got that gun, you got a gun license, that goes through the federal government. You got to go through Quantico, Virginia, to get your background check to get your gun license. So your gun license is null and void, and then you got the weed. So like even me as a bail bondsman private investigator, if I get pulled over with a joint, a piece of a joint, and a firearm, I can have a little 22. That automatically, I'm going to get charged with a simultaneous possession of drugs and firearms. Then I'm going to go to jail, I'm going to have to get burned out. But a lot of times what happens, if they see, oh, he has a gun license, he just had a little blunt on him or a little joint, they'll make you plead guilty to misdemeanor possession of marijuana and throw the gun charge out. That's normally how it works if you're a law-abiding citizen. But in the case of these two, the police really did them a favor, because he could have arrested both of them for simultaneous possession of drugs and firearms. And then the other guy, Williams, his name is, I just want to say his name again, Deonte Williams, they could have charged him with possession of a firearm with a certain person. So they could have jammed a girl up. She was driving with, driving left to center, or driving in the left lane, probably driving left to center, or driving in the left lane without passing. Then for the tinted windows, they could have got her. Then they could have hit her with a SIMO, possession of drugs and firearms. Then they could have hit him with the same thing, possession of drugs and firearms, class Y felony. Then they could have hit him with possession of a firearm by a certain person, because he's a felon. He doesn't supposed to have a gun. So they could have hit him with three felony charges right there, and could have hit her with 2 felony charges and made both of them bond out and took the kids. That's what people are missing. They really showed them love by not charging with that gun. Even though the gun could have been legal and everything, and more likely what happened, because I bum people out all the time, it could have been dude's gun, but he got him a chick that's record clean. That's what a lot of times dudes do. If you're a felon, you gotta have your chick that's clean, because she can always carry the gun or own up to the gun, be like, this is my gun or whatnot. And what happened was, she probably said, yeah, this is my gun, I'm taking this is my gun, it's not his, which probably was his. But that's neither here nor there, because I understand people, you need a firearm on the road, you know what I'm saying, and traveling just for your protection and safety if you're doing stuff right. I don't see nothing wrong with that, because I'm pro 2A. And she says my gun, but the problem comes when you got the weed and the gun. And they really could have jammed them up worse than what this is. And that's what people don't realize. They could have hit her with 2 felonies, him with 3 felonies off the rip. Then really no more, because they could have got endangering the welfare of a minor charge too, count times 5. I don't know what degree it would be, but they could have got here with possession of a firearm and drugs and firearms simultaneous. Him with possession by a certain person. Then they could have hit them, because it was 5 kids. They could have hit them with endangering welfare of a minor times 5. And jammed them up with some pretty good bonds. But the judge didn't. They just charged him with simple possession and let him bond out. But CPS came through and snatched the kids up. And then, I believe when they ran that hair test, that's what made them really go and keep them. Because you got fentanyl and Oxycontin, then the interviewing of the kids were saying stuff about, like I said again, Deonte Williams was the weed man. The kids know how to roll blunts and stuff. They were just demonstrating for them. So it looks real problematic. And I'm no fan of CPS at all, because I know CPS does some horrible things from what I've heard and what I've seen. You know what I'm saying? But just to peep game and just show you this ain't really about race. I'm gonna give you an example, and these are stories that you won't hear from nobody else but a bail bondsman. Had a chick, she was coming from Texas, and she was driving to, I want to say Massachusetts, and she had her daughter and her son in the car. She was in like a little E-Class Benz, like a decent model, probably like 2013, 14 model. This is about 2 or 3 years ago. Coming through Arkansas. She finally told me the story, because a lot of times you bum people out, you don't want to ask them the story or ask what's going on. You just want to just get them out, and especially with the case sensitive. She was driving from Texas to Massachusetts to visit some family, or Connecticut, She was going to Connecticut from Texas. She had drove from Florida to Texas to visit some friends, left Texas and was going to Connecticut, coming through Arkansas. She told me she had been drinking and maybe popping some pills too, and she didn't want to drive. She was tired and on the road. Her daughter was 14 at the time, and claimed the daughter had been driving, been practicing driving. You know how people and like even when I was growing up, we were 14-year-olds. I had Arkansas at 14 years old, you can get a permit, but and drive. You know what I'm saying? You can actually get a permit and drive. You can drive with your parents in the car. And at 15, you get a hardship and drive to school and drive to work at 15 in Arkansas. And I was one of those people. I had a car at 15, but she said she was tired, so she let her 14-year-old daughter drive on the interstate, coming through Arkansas, and you're 14 years old, never been to Arkansas, and you're driving on a major interstate. The little girl was missing an exit ramp, and she hit a barricade, like where the ramp split, she hit it, and then tried to back up in the wrong way of traffic or whatnot. Police shows up, finds out she's drunk and high on pills or whatnot, arrests her, take her kids into CPS custody. And that's been about 3 years ago, and this girl hasn't got her children back yet. And this is 1 year. It's a white female, early 30s. She doesn't look cracked out or anything. Nice looking white female. Had a decent job. She was just drinking and popping pills. It's been 3 years. She still haven't got her full custody of her kids back. They were in CPS in Arkansas for a long, long time. Then they finally moved them to Florida CPS. Then her parents got custody of them. But this girl still hasn't got her kids back. And this been 3 years ago. It's Lily White. What you got? Lily White girl. Real proper, nice. You would never ever think she was doing nothing like that. And out of all that, she's a convicted felon now. 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a minor and the DWI, but she's a convicted felon now. She didn't go to prison. They were going to send her to prison, but she had a lawyer and stuff, and that's the best he could do. Get her felony probation. He couldn't even get that misdemeanor. She couldn't even get that child endangerment knocked down to a misdemeanor. So this ain't about race in this instance. They out here, just tripping, and I just wanted to add that story to show you really it could be race, but I don't see it because I don't like I said, I done burned out a white female like this in Arkansas on the same thing, and they ain't showing no mercy at all, no mercy at all. You know what I'm saying? They took her to jail, made her bond out, the whole nine, and the courts wasn't having any mercy on her. So it just goes to show it ain't happening to anybody. And then what? My third part, how do you stay out this situation? One, obviously, you shouldn't be traveling with any weed anyway on the highway and you got kids. Okay? Then, if you know you got a convicted felon in the car and just say you got a gun, it's the ways to move right. So I'm going to tell you the ways to move right if you're really going to do this. The way you're going to do this without causing any, and getting to Chicago safely. One, if you're going to carry a gun and you got a convicted felon in the car with you, You need to reconsider that first off and read the laws and know the laws. Okay, I just got to carry my gun. While you're on that highway, you probably need to keep that gun in a locked case. In the trunk where it's hard to get to. Like in a case, unloaded, locked up in the trunk under some stuff. Not here, but just locked in the suitcase, locked up. Locked up and unloaded. In the back, in the trunk, in the back of the car where nobody can get to it. 1. 2, if you're going to be traveling with weed and you're on your way to Chicago, it's an abundance of weed in Georgia, Chicago. You should get high before you left. And if you want to get some weed, once you get to Chicago, you're in Chicago, I know there's weed everywhere. You're not going to be on the shortage of weed. But I feel like I got to smoke from Atlanta to Chicago. Let's see. How long is that a drive? Let's see, YouTube or Google. I don't even know if they come from Atlanta, but we're going to say Atlanta. Atlanta. 11-mile drive. That's a nice drive. That's a nice drive. So if I'm going there, well, let's say 10, because I don't know exactly in Georgia where they were at, but 10, 11 hours. Okay. Yeah, you probably going to need 4, 5 blunts, probably more than that. They probably smoked because the police said they smelled weed in the car. So they ran through. So they probably had, if they got caught with 4.7 grams, they probably damn near had a cord and was blowing. I don't know how heavy, but there's no reason why you should be blowing up them kids in the car or stepping out taking smoke breaks. You should be disciplined enough to where you can wait. But if you just can't, whatever you got, you should be able to eat. And that's why I blame the guy or the girl, whoever wasn't driving. You got 5 grams, you better start eating, my guy. You better start eating. My rule is always, if you're going to carry, especially if you got a firearm, it better be something you can eat. Because if you ain't got no weed on you, you get put up with your gun, it's just your gun, you're good. But if you got that weed, like I said, that triggers a SIMO. So I always know, if you just got to smoke, and you're a real smoker, I know y'all don't like it, but you need to go and get you a vape. Get you a vape for the road. That way you can blow and do it inconspicuously. You know what I'm saying? Do it low key. And then just get you some weed when you get to the shop. Because y'all going to a funeral, you're going to meet up with all your cousins, uncles, and there's going to be plenty. You're going to have access to weed when you get there. So instead of getting on the road with blow you a blunt or two right before you ride out, get your eye drops and stuff, get on the road, and then just bring you a vape pen. And a cartridge. You shouldn't need more than a cartridge to go to Chicago. Y'all do something wrong. You know what I'm saying? You need a cartridge, so y'all smoke down the way up there and then on the way back. You don't need but 1, maybe 2 cartridges. That's a lot. And roll up there and use the cartridges on the way. The other things, stay your ass out the left lane. If you stay your ass out the left lane, this would probably stop the problems. And then with the tent, you need to know your tent laws. Usually, I've never been, as long as you ain't going 5% all the way around, like what we call it murdered out, you'll be good. So if you drive 5%, you got to expect them problems anywhere you go. You should have had you about 20%. You can have 5 on the back windows and all around. But on them little front ones, you can have about 20%. You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't have the front windshield. Unless you like me doing bail bond and stuff and private investigating, you shouldn't have your front, in my opinion, you should not have your front windshield tinted because it's going to cause problems for you with the police. Unless you like getting pulled over by the police, it's going to cause a lot of problems. Then visibility at night is terrible when you 5% it out. You got to roll down the windows at night just to see. But, yeah, the ways to avoid that. Leaving the dope at home. Getting the vape pen moving. If you travel with that firearm and you know you got a dude that's a convicted felon with you, either not bringing it or locking that joker, unloading the box, and having some proof, really proof that it's yours and he has nothing to do with it. And then just moving right when you're on that highway, especially if you know you've been blowing and you got weed, your dumb ass shouldn't be in the left lane driving. It's just simple as that. Then also, whenever you get pulled over, have that license, insurance, registration ready for them. Because a lot of times people get jammed up. You get pulled over. All right, I got my license. But now, all right, I need your license, insurance, and registration. You got your license, but guess what you're digging for? Insurance and registration. And you get to leaning over digging that glove compartment. While you doing that, police over here in your back window with a flashlight looking, oh, I see a blunt wrapper, or I see some Swisher paper, or I see an old gin bottle. Why don't you go and step out the car for me? Because now you see stuff, whereas when he get there, you should have your license, insurance, registration ready for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I apologize. Whatever it is, I apologize, officer. My bad, whatever. Pull all the way over. Let your windows all the way down. Pull all the way over to the far as you can to show this officer that, hey, I'm looking out for your safety and my safety. And turn your emergency lights on and turn the car. Hey, my bad. Whatever it is, yeah, my bad. You say I was speeding. I apologize about that. I wasn't trying to speed. My bad. I was trying to get home to the wifey or something, or whatever. It might get y'all a ticket, it might not. Hey, I apologize, officer. I shouldn't have been speeding. Oh, I apologize. I wasn't trying to drive in that left lane. But here's my license, insurance, registration. Hey, I'm good. You know. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to y'all about that story and once again just break it down to real with it and what actually could have happened. Because it could be a lot worse. They could have been sitting there with felony counts, like a whole bunch of like I said, 5 counts of child endangerment, endangering the welfare of a minor, 5 counts. They could have both been charged with possession of a firearm, simultaneous with possession of drugs, and he could have been hit with a possession of a firearm by a certain person. And then let y'all figure out who gun and drugs it was when y'all get to jail, and then make y'all bond out. Then y'all be out of state. Ain't nobody gonna touch y'all without collateral because you're from out of state. So just learn the ways to avoid them type of situations. Don't be a victim of it. Like I said, I'm no fan of CPS, but this all could have been avoided by just moving and thinking smarter. But I'm gonna holler back at y'all. We damn near 30 minutes. So I'm gonna get back with y'all in a little bit.